Dear Swami, we offer these humble words to you. Please bless us and guide us. We are Alida Parks and Manfred Muller-Gramsci, Zone Chairs of Zone 6 and 7 of the Sathya Sai International Organization. We wish to present to you our European program, The Path of Unity.
Loving Sairams to all of you. Unlike any other continent on Earth, Europe is a multicultural wonderland. It cannot be compared to Africa, India, China, or other countries. Our two zones cover 28 countries that have 25 different spoken languages, each with its own unique history and culture. And when we look into the world today, we can realize a focus on individualism and nationalism all over. As a consequence, we not only watch selfishness and the personal well-being as the obviously utmost desirable goal on the individual level, but even on a national level, countries are at war with each other to enforce dominance of their religion, their culture, or their economical strength. In this way, the stress is on the differences between mankind. The mantra of I, my, we and our seems to be the value of our age. But isn't there something else which goes deeper and is more relevant for our lives than these superficial and worldly attitudes? Starting with the theme of unity in diversity for our video presentation, we explored many possibilities. We needed to be inclusive for every country in our zones and have them equally represented. Then we had to extract that diversity and somehow turn it back into unity. And we came up with The Path of Unity, which became the title of the video and our guiding principle. And it was Swami who guided us with his very profound principles, as there is only one religion, the religion of love, leading us to a very simple action plan: love all, serve all. When we take just one of Swami's teachings, like we did, the path of karma, bhakti and jnana, and use it as the basis for our project, it becomes part of our life. It's always like that with Swami. He wants us to live the teachings that we are working with. This is the beauty of the organization. When we practice what we preach, Swami is there to guide us every step of the way. In this way, every project of his is sacred. The work we do for him, with him, and in his name becomes these three paths. The goal is not to stop at our individuality, but to realize the unity among us, to realize that all of us are one, with not even God being separate of us. And whoever had the chance to feel this unifying love in the presence of Sai will never be able to stop spreading his message all over the world. This is what we try to do in the SSIO. So let us first listen to Dr. Narendra Nath Reddy, the chairman of the Sathya Sai International Organization, who beautifully sums up how to walk on this path of unity.
With love, reverence and gratitude, I offer my prayerful pranams at the divine lotus feet of our dearest, loving and omnipresent Lord Bhagavan, Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Dear brothers and sisters, loving Sai Ram to all of you. The scriptures say there is only one God and He is omnipresent. He permeates every atom, every cell and every moment of all creation. He is love and He is bliss. How to experience this omnipresent and loving Lord. That is through the path of unity. Swami has said unity is divinity. He elaborated on this aspect of unity as 4 aspects. At the level of the individual called Veshti, the individual, the Veshti, is part of Samishti, the society. We are all part of society. And society, Samishti, is part of Srishti, the whole creation. And Srishti is part of Parameshti, God. So the individual connected to society, society connected to creation, creation connected to God. So we need to practice the unity at all levels. At the individual level, we practice unity through the unity of thought, word, and deed. So what we think, we say, and what we say, we do. That is the sign of good and godly person. Swami said a good and godly person thinks noble thoughts, says loving words, and does good deeds. There is harmony of head, heart, and hands. Head is used for fundamental discrimination, and heart is filled with love and compassion, and hands are used in loving service to the creation. And next comes the level of Samishti, society, the individual who is part of the society. It starts with family. Family is the fundamental unit, and Swami says the harmony at home is most important for the world peace. For this, there should be understanding first and then adjustment. This society is not only at the home level, but we have society at work and in the community where we live. So that could be expressed through our service to the community and also be able to do the adjustment and understanding of the work level with the peers, superiors, and our subordinates. Then comes the unity of the faiths. We should have the harmony of religions so that we all believe in only one religion, religion of love, and one God who is omnipresent. Next, the harmony is at the level of in the organization where we serve. We always talk about the important qualities of ability and availability and accountability. But as much as important is affability, able to work in unity as a teamwork. That is very, very important. So when we do this practice, the unity in the society, next comes unity with the Srishti, creation, because Samishti is part of Srishti, the creation. As Swami says, nature is a gift of God. Nature is the vesture of God. Nature is the manifestation of God. If so, what should be our attitude? Beautifully he said, tread softly, move reverentially, and utilize gratefully. How do you do that? So we do that by reducing the wastage of natural resources like water, energy, and the food, and also avoid deforestation, avoid the use of fossil fuels. Instead, we should try to do the reforestation by massive tree planting program and use the alternate fuels like solar energy, and also do the reducing the wastage by recycling and reuse. Then we are really respecting the nature. That is the way to establish unity with nature. Finally comes the stage of Parameshti, divinity, because everything ends in divinity. As we said, divinity is everything, everywhere, ever. That is why it is said we are all the children of the same divine father and mother. So we need to have that same feeling of oneness and love for each other. But in the ultimate stage, one should not feel any separation from God. We should feel I and God are one. That is why beautifully said in the very name Sai itself. Yes, Sai, Swami and I, A and I are one. We are all one. So that need to have that affirmation of our Godhood when we realize oneness with God. God is love. Love is God. Like the way we see the moon through the moonlight, similarly God, who is love, we can experience him only through love. For that, we should always remember Swami's message. Think God, see God, hear God, eat God, drink God, and love God. So then we live in God. And this is the way to live in love and bliss. So this will lead us to reach unity at all levels, in which case we experience him in everything, everywhere, ever. May Swami guide us to reach this goal, to the path of unity. Jai Sai Ram.
We designed our European program to show the world that mankind is longing for this unity throughout all times, from the ancient Greece to the modern world of today, despite of all differences we have. So let us start our march through European history now and see how the great personalities of the countries of Zone 6 and 7 influenced our culture and our spirituality. Once again, we thank Swami for this opportunity, and we thank you for watching this program. Jai Sai Ram.
Our planet, the Earth, first appeared in space as a mass of very small particles which were mixed with different gases. These tiny particles merged into one another and became a sphere of red-hot liquid. The sphere soon cooled and formed an outer crust. Lava and steam forced their way out of the surface, and thick clouds formed an atmosphere around our Earth. Rain fell and oceans were born. Magma flowed up through the oceans and land masses were formed. These joined together and made a supercontinent. The supercontinent broke apart and became a series of smaller continents. And then there was Europe. Since the beginning of time as we know it, the shape, size and culture of European countries have changed. Over the last 3,000 years, 5 cultural streams have influenced Europe. The first was Greek philosophy. This was followed by the Romans. The third cultural stream was the Germanic invasion into the south of Europe. The fourth stream saw the Arabian culture spread over Spain and neighbouring countries. And in the fifth stream, via Persian and Arab countries, Indian philosophy and literature came into focus. Often divided by rivers and seas, or lines drawn on a map, the countries of Europe are likened to one family with deep, interconnected histories. one of the deepest connections is the unity amongst the people of the borders they live between. Yet there is another type of unity which is seldom travelled, but those few who have worn that path into the heart of European culture. This path of unity is the one we are going to visit today. The great personalities of Europe, who shaped the future by their thoughts, their works, and their love, were inspired human beings. The deep yearning for truth, the pursuit of excellence, and the longing for peace carved the ideals of these great personalities into the culture of a mighty continent. As citizens of the modern world, we owe much to our ancestors. Let us go back in time with reverence and humility. We will become the seekers exploring their journey of wisdom, their journey of service, and their journey of devotion. Our first seeker is on the path of wisdom. They see and live through the people whose art, music, philosophy and science is that of the path of wisdom. Our second seeker is on the path of service, the path of action. In a similar way to the first seeker, our second seeker lives their life through the people whose faith, music, science, art and philosophy is linked to the path of service. Our third seeker is on the path of devotion. Just as the first and second seeker have done, our third seeker lives their life of devotion through the people whose faith, music and art are on the path of devotion. Our journey of the three seekers starts with wisdom. We will go back to the time period of antiquity, where wisdom is manifesting in our earliest personality as King Solomon of Israel. The year is 1011 BC. King Solomon was a wise monarch of Israel who succeeded his father, King David. He is portrayed as one of the most important prophets, great in wisdom, wealth, and power. Solomon is considered a source of judicial and religious wisdom, directly promised by God to him during a dream. Solomon had lasting religious, national, and political influence. His name means peaceful and a friend of God. He was the last ruler of the United Kingdom of Israel, maintaining peace within his neighbouring countries. He built the first temple in Jerusalem, dedicating it to Yahweh, the God of Israel. It is written in the Book of Wisdom attributed to King Solomon, "For this I prayed, I begged, and the spirit of wisdom came to me. I preferred it to sceptres and thrones. I preferred its possession to light itself, because the splendour it emanates does not fade. Together with it, all goods have come to me." Wisdom again is our next seeker. This time we're going to Greece in the year 580 BC. Ancient Greece can be considered one of the cradles of Western philosophy. On the front of the temple of Apollo at Delphi was inscribed the words, "Know thyself." This maxim has inspired many philosophers and researchers such as Pythagoras, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. Pythagoras was the first to realize the effectiveness of mathematics in describing the world. He taught evolution is the law of life, number is the law of the universe, unity is the law of God. Socrates was important for his method of investigation, the dialogue. He said, there is only one good, knowledge. There is only one evil, ignorance. Then Plato was important, for he employed methods where pupils themselves participated in teaching. He declared, every problem has three solutions: my solution, your solution, and the right solution. And Aristotle believed that everything flows in nature, following fixed patterns of rules, and what is guiding matter is not outside it, but in its own constitution. He stated, knowing yourself is the principle of all wisdom. Ireland is our next destination. The rise of Christianity is taking place, and devotion is the seeker who is taking us there in the year 385 AD. St. Patrick was a Scottish-born Irish bishop and missionary. He is venerated as a saint by the Catholic and Orthodox churches and as the patron saint of Ireland. Early medieval tradition credits him with being the founder of Christianity in Ireland, converting a society who was practicing a form of Celtic polytheism. The figure of St. Patrick is present in the Irish national emblem together with a shamrock. Legend credits St. Patrick with teaching the Irish about the doctrine of the Holy Trinity by showing people a shamrock, which is a three-leaved plant, and using it to illustrate the Christian teachings of the three persons in one God. St. Patrick's writings were appreciated for their directness and simplicity, among which the Irish Journey Blessing is one of his most quoted sayings. It goes, "May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and the rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand." The year is now 1182 and we are in the Middle Ages. Devotion is taking us to Italy. St. Francis of Assisi was an Italian monk and poet, patron saint of Italy and of animals. A profound ascetic, Francis was known as the poor man of Assisi for his choice to strip himself of all material possessions. Francis wrote the famous Canticle of the Creatures, a praise to creation, considered the beginning of the Italian literary tradition. Francis's mystical life began in a small ruined church of St. Damian in the countryside of Assisi. He felt drawn to an image of Jesus on the cross, who said to him, "Go, Francis, repair my house which is in ruins." So Francis first rebuilt the church and then, with his exemplary life, attracted a small group of friars for which he composed a simple rule: to follow the teachings of our Lord Jesus Christ and to walk in his footsteps. St. Francis was eventually given permission by Pope Innocent III to start his Franciscan order. This steered the Catholic Church towards the unity of nature, man and God. Now we will go to Hungary, the year 1207, and again the seeker of devotion is taking us there. Elizabeth of Hungary was a Hungarian princess and German Landgravine. She is revered in Christianity as a symbol of active charity, following her idol, St. Francis of Assisi. Elizabeth refused royal privileges, reached out to the poor, and underwent extreme hardship, including utter poverty. "Look, I told you," "We should make people happy," are the words of Elizabeth, and it is said, "In these words lies her whole heart." The legend goes, she was accused of stealing bread to give to the needy, but when asked to open her cloak, a miracle occurred. When she revealed what she was hiding, the bread had transformed into red and white roses. Elizabeth built the Franciscan Hospital at Marburg and gave 7 works of mercy as guiding principles. She said, "Feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, house the strangers, clothe the needy, nurse the sick, visit the prisoners, and bury the dead." Devotion will be leading us, this time to Germany, in 1260 AD. Meister Eckhart was an important late medieval philosopher, theologian, and a mystic from the Dominican order. "If the only prayer you said was thank you, that would be enough," said Meister Eckhart. In order to reach the hearts of the ordinary people, Meister Eckhart taught the highest non-dualistic ideas of oneness in simple German language. He said, "In the one finds God, and one must become he who is to find God." Influenced by Plato, Aristotle, and Averroes, he elaborated how man and God are one, and that this truth can be found in everyone's heart. He said, "There is a huge silence inside each of us that beckons us into itself, and the recovery of our own silence can begin to teach us the language of heaven." He died on the way to an Inquisition trial, denying all intention of heresy. "I am a swimming galaxy tonight. Angels prowl around, hoping I will toss them a fresh piece of light." It is now 1515 AD, and we are entering the early modern era. The seeker of devotion will take us to Spain. Saint Teresa of Avila was a Spanish nun and mystic, and one of the most important figures in the Catholic tradition. She is recognized as a doctor of the Church and is the author of several texts in which she explains her mystical spiritual doctrine. Her experiences were profound, but at the time were considered diabolical and not of divine origin. Teresa became firmly convinced that Christ had presented himself to her in bodily form, though invisible. These visions lasted for more than 2 years. Her most famous work is The Interior Castle, an itinerary of the soul in search of God through 7 passages of elevation. Her other well-known works include Path of Perfection and Foundations, along with many poems and prayers. Teresa founded the Carmelite order of nuns, friars, and monasteries in Spain and beyond. She said, "Let nothing disturb you, let nothing frighten you. All things are passing away. God never changes. Patience obtains all things. Whoever has God lacks nothing. God alone suffices." The seeker of wisdom is taking us to Croatia in the year 1551. Fausto Verenzio was a polymath and bishop. Born in Sebenik, Croatia, he studied law, physics, engineering and mechanics. He was appointed Bishop of Senad, which he later relinquished and committed himself to engineering as a polymath. A distinguished engineer and urban planner, he designed bridges, mills, turbines and a parachute. Verenzio published his masterwork Machinae Novae in 1615, It contained 49 large pictures depicting 56 different machines, devices, and concepts of technological advance. These found fertile ground in the 18th and 19th centuries. By order of the Pope, he spent 2 years in Rome, where he envisioned and made projects needed for regulating rivers and tackling the problem of the wells and water supply of Venice. Verunzio was the author of a 5-language dictionary with approximately 5,000 entries for 5 different languages. The book was a source of inspiration for other European dictionaries and greatly influenced the Croatian and Hungarian orthography. The Seeker of Service has appeared. It is 1592 and we are going to the Czech Republic. Johann Amos Komensky was a Moravian philosopher, Protestant theologian and educator. He was Bishop of the Bohemian Brethren. Komensky can be considered the great pedagogue of the 17th century. He gave pedagogy a new direction. This was to design pedagogy from the child. In other words, how a child should learn to understand its place in God, in society, and know itself. He was one of the first to orient pedagogy methodically, didactically, and in terms of content according to the different phases of childhood. He said, "When all men are instructed from the bottom up about everything, all are truly wise, and the world in order, light, and peace." His philosophy to live in divine order was to harmonize the divine with the worldly. He saw man as an image of God and learning to live this as a lifelong journey. He said again, "There must be a certain order for persons and actions, but let everything be done voluntarily, for human nature wants to be governed humanely." Wisdom is our next seeker, and taking us to the Netherlands in the year 1606. Rembrandt van Rijn, known by his first name Rembrandt, is considered one of the most important and best-known Dutch artists of the Baroque. His work coincided with the Golden Age, when the Netherlands experienced a period of political, economic, and artistic prosperity. Rembrandt worked as a painter, etcher, and draftsman, ran a workshop, and trained artists. His complete works include biblical and mythological themes, landscapes, and portraits. In his depictions of history, Rembrandt took up numerous motifs that had not been artistically worked on before, and he looked for new ways of depicting those traditional motifs. Many of his works are characterized by strong contrasts of light and dark. The painters of the 16th and 17th centuries were primarily concerned with dramatic expression, and so Rembrandt is considered a master of this technique. When he moved to Amsterdam, he became a celebrated artist. Nevertheless, like many great artists, his devotion to his work took him in and out of poverty. The year is 1643, and wisdom is taking us to the United Kingdom. Isaac Newton was an English mathematician, physicist, astronomer, alchemist, theologian, and author widely recognized as one of the greatest mathematicians and physicists of all time and among the most influential scientists. He was a key figure in the philosophical revolution known as the Enlightenment. At the age of 18, Newton began studying for a law degree at Trinity College, University of Cambridge. Even then, he was asking questions about gravity, the nature of light, of colour, of vision and atoms. Newton, upon seeing the fall of an apple, realized and demonstrated that the force that caused it to fall down and in a straight line was the same force that caused the moon to orbit the Earth, as well as the Earth and other planets to orbit the Sun. So, Newton called this force universal gravitation, as it was felt throughout the universe. He said, "I do not believe that the universe can be explained by natural causes alone, and I am forced to impute it to the wisdom and ingenuity of an intelligent being." Austria is where we're going now. The year is 1732, and devotion is taking us there. Franz Joseph Haydn made a monumental contribution to music. Referred to as the father of symphony and father of the string quartet, Haydn spent the greater part of his professional career as a court musician whose orchestra and opera he conducted. He described his seclusion from other composers and musical trends by saying, "I was secluded from the world. No one near me could mislead and torment me about myself, and so I had to become original." He always put on a Sunday robe to compose, as if at a church service. Haydn often declared that one of his most successful works was the 7 last words of our Saviour on the cross, commissioned in 1786 for the Good Friday service in Cadiz, Spain. Haydn wrote 108 symphonies, 19 operas, 83 string quartets, 16 overtures, as well as numerous piano concertos, sonatas, and religious works. Of his music, he said, "My language is understood in the whole world." The path of action, service, is taking us to Switzerland, and the year is 1746. Johann Heinrich Pestalozzi was a Swiss pedagogue, writer and philosopher. He is known for his reformation of the education system. Based on his revolutionary principles, he founded educational institutions in various regions of Switzerland. Pestalozzi emphasized that every aspect of the child's life contributed to the formation of their personality, character, and capacity to reason. According to him, the environment must reflect certain characteristics of family education. After many struggles in his own life, he applied his method by opening institutions in which the education of children had an ethical purpose. His first success was with abandoned and orphaned children due to the war. Pestalozzi communicated to the Swiss government that he would like more opportunity to educate the poor. Following their favourable review, the government decided to transform Pestalozzi's schools into a national institution. Pestalozzi always said, "The motto has to be learning by head, hand, and heart." The year is 1748, and service is now taking us to France. Olympe de Gouges was an activist during the French Revolution. She began her career as a writer in Paris, publishing a novel in 1784 and then beginning a prolific career as a playwright. Her writings reached a large audience in various European countries. As political tension rose in France, Olympe became increasingly politically engaged. She developed a patriotic project in her famous Letter to the People, proposing a vast program of social reforms. Olympe de Gouges published reflections on black men, in which she took a stand against slavery and stood for the political and social equality of all. In her written works, Declaration of the Rights of Women and of the Female Citizen, she also challenged the practice of male authority and the notion of male-female inequality. During the Reign of Terror, 1793 to 1794, she was executed by guillotine for her radical views. She said, "Being equal in the eyes of the law, male and female citizens must be equally admitted to all honours, positions and public employment according to their capacity." Slovenia is our next destination. The Seeker of Service is taking us there, and the year is 1800. Franz Prešeren was a 19th century Romantic Slovene poet whose poems have been translated into many languages. He is considered the greatest classical poet of his country and has inspired later literature. He wrote the first Slovene ballad and epic. One of the greatest works of Prešeren is The Baptism at the Savica Spring, an epic historical composition set in the 8th century, narrating the conversion of Slovenes to Christianity. Today, Prešeren is still considered one of the leading poets of Slovene literature, acclaimed not only nationally or regionally, but also according to the standards of developed European literature. Prešeren was one of the greatest European romanticists. His fervent, heartfelt lyrics, intensely emotional but never merely sentimental, have made him the chief representative of the Romantic school in Slovenia. He wrote, "Unity, fortune, concord, return to us. Long live all the people who yearn to see the day, that whenever the sun shines, hatred and quarrels may come to an end, that in freedom each one may live and be friends with his neighbour." The modern ages have arrived. We are going to Denmark in 1813 with the Seeker of Devotion. Søren Kierkegaard was a Danish philosopher, essayist, Lutheran theologian and religious writer. A committed advocate of the essential idea of Christianity, he said, "Despair is the result of the tension between the finite and the infinite. The only way to escape despair is to have complete trust in God, thus the personal experience of God." Kierkegaard is regarded as a pioneer of existentialism. He explored the problems of human existence and centered on the subjective experience of thinking, feeling and acting. In short, why am I here? His published journals contain 13 volumes, consisting of 25 separate bindings. He asked, "What is human existence?" And he answers, "Duality is characteristic of human existence. How we live has to do with how we perceive the relationship between earthly and the eternal." Much of his philosophical work deals with giving priority to concrete human reality over abstract thinking, while his theological works focused on Christian love and ethics. He said, "A truly religious person is one who lives the Christian message. Humility and self-sacrifice is the basis of practicing the message of Christ." The Seeker of Wisdom is now taking us to Norway, and the year is 1828. Henrik Johan Ibsen was a Norwegian playwright and theatre director. As one of the founders of modernism in drama, Ibsen is often referred to as the father of modern drama. His style of drama, realism, reveals problematic motives of individual or social behaviour patterns, often portraying people struggling to be true to themselves. The Ibsen family belonged to an elite educated European culture. This in turn formed his upbringing and his cultural identity. Henrik Ibsen was one of the most influential playwrights of his time and widely regarded as the foremost playwright of the 19th century. Ibsen is the most frequently performed dramatist in the world after Shakespeare. His drama, A Doll's House, was the most performed play in 2006. He was an advocate of female independence, and he illustrated how people on all sides of the social spectrum could be equally self-serving. Ibsen was nominated for the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1902, 1903 and 1904. Now we go to Belgium. It is 1840 and devotion is taking us there. St. Joseph Damien de Veuster, the apostle of the lepers, was born at Tremelo, Belgium. As a novice with the Congregation of the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary, he took the name Damien. He would pray every day before a picture of St. Francis Xavier, patron of missionaries, to be sent on a mission. In 1864, he was sent to Hawaii. From 1873 until his death in 1889, Father Damien lived with 600 people with leprosy on an island of medical quarantine. He dressed residents' ulcers, built a reservoir, built homes and furniture, made coffins, and he dug graves. Despite what the outside world thought of them, said Damien, they were always precious in the eyes of God. His departure for the cursed island, the announcement of his own leprosy, and his subsequent death deeply impressed his contemporaries of all denominations. He said, "I make myself a leper with the lepers to gain all to Jesus Christ." Our next stop is Serbia in 1858 with the Seeker of Wisdom. Mihajlo Advojski Pupin was a Serbian physicist, chemist, electrical engineer, inventor and philanthropist. Holder of 34 patents, Pupin was a prolific electrical inventor whose many discoveries included devices used in telegraphy and telephony, helping to improve long-distance telephone communications. He was a professor at 18 European and American universities, of which he lectured 4 Nobel Prize winners. In 1915, he was one of the 12 scientists who were founding members of National Advisory Committee for Aeronautics, which later became NASA. In 1924, he won a Pulitzer Prize for his autobiography. Pupin had a reputation not only as a great scientist, but also a fine person. He was known for his manners, great knowledge, love of his homeland, patron of the arts, and his availability to everyone. Pupin said, "Look at those animals and remember the greatest scientists in the world have never discovered how to make grass into milk. Nature can laugh at its so-called scientific knowledge." The year is 1867 and the Seeker of Service is taking us to Poland. Marie Skłodowska-Curie was a physicist and chemist of Polish origin. After completing her studies in France, she began researching radioactive substances. She coined the word radioactive and discovered the elements polonium and radium with her husband Pierre. She said, "I want to make a gift to my homeland, Pierre. I want to name the element polonium." Marie Curie was the first woman to receive a Nobel Prize. In 1903 for physics and again in 1911 for chemistry. She is only one of 4 people to receive it twice. During the First World War, she dedicated herself as a radiologist to the treatment of wounded soldiers, and while training technicians and nurses, she developed an X-ray trolley that made it possible to carry out examinations at the war front. She said, "One cannot hope to change the world for the better if the individual does not change for the better." She directed the Radium Institute of Paris, where she fostered the promotion of female and foreign students. Her extremely dedicated career took a large toll on her health due to the radioactive exposure. She still said, "Nothing in life needs to be feared. It is only a matter of understanding it." The Seeker of Wisdom is taking us to Lithuania, and the year is 1875. Mikalojus Konstantinas Čiurlionis is regarded as the greatest Lithuanian artist and composer who ever lived. Born in Varina in the south of Lithuania, he was a musical prodigy. He could play by ear at the age of 3 and could sight-read music freely by age 7. Čiurlionis studied piano and composition at Warsaw Conservatory. He then returned to Poland and studied drawing at the Warsaw School of Fine Arts. His teacher, a symbolist painter and the founder of the first lodges of the Theosophical Society in Poland, inspired Čiurlionis an interest in esoteric subjects. With his contribution to symbolism and Art Nouveau, Čiurlionis is seen as one of the founders of abstract art in Europe. During his short life of 35 years, he composed around 400 pieces of music and created 300 paintings, as well as many literary works and poems. His works have had a profound influence on modern Lithuanian culture. Čiurlionis felt that he was a synesthete, that is, he perceived colours and music simultaneously. We are now going to Romania. It is 1881, and wisdom is taking us there. George Enescu is regarded as one of the greatest musicians in Romanian history. At the age of 5, he wrote his first work for violin and piano. At the tender age of 7, he was admitted to the Vienna Conservatory. At 16, Enescu presented in Paris his first mature work, played by the Cologne Orchestra, then one of the most prestigious in the world. In 1923, he made his American debut as the conductor in a concert given by the Philadelphia Orchestra at Carnegie Hall. He went on to lead the New York Philharmonic between 1937 and 1938. Renowned as a violin teacher, his students are regarded as the very best of the 20th century. Sir Yehudi Menuhin, Enescu's most famous pupil, said he was the most extraordinary human being, the greatest musician and the most formative influence he had ever experienced. Enescu wrote 5 symphonies and extensive chamber music. He said, "I love only one thing in the world, music, the immense music. Music starts from the heart and addresses the heart. Music is a spiritual power that binds all the people together." Finland is next. The Seeker of Service will take us there, and the year is 1887. Arvo Henrik Lippo was a Finnish paediatrician who significantly decreased infant mortality during the 20th century. He is credited as the father of Finland's public child welfare clinic system. Arvo Lippo studied pediatric medicine in Finland and Germany. He observed that deaths of prematurely born infants are due to treatable conditions rather than underdevelopment. This motivated the advancement of treatment and science to prematurely born infants. Lippo was apparently born premature and remained small in stature through his life. As he says, fate is a great accident. By 1925, he was Professor of Podiatry at Helsinki University Hospital, and from 1920 to 1963 he was Chief Physician for the Children's Castle Hospital in Helsinki. Under his initiative, Finland's first counselling centre was established. It also served as a shelter for single mothers and organised child welfare grants for war orphans. Arvo Lippo wrote extensively to medical journals about childcare. He supported efforts to expand Finnish nurse training and the Finnish pharmacy industry. Service, the path of action, is taking us to Sweden in the year 1905. Dag Hammarskjöld of Sweden was nominated as the second Secretary-General of the United Nations in 1953. For him, law was the only weapon for the highest public service role in the world. It was his faith in God which gave him the inner strength to use his attitude of independence as a successful non-partisan peace mediator. He said, "In our age, the road to holiness necessarily passes through the world of action." Hammarskjöld was unanimously reappointed to a second term of the UN Secretary-General in 1958. His appointment has been hailed as one of the most notable successes of the organisation. US President John F. Kennedy called Hammarskjöld the greatest statesman of our century. In 1961, his second term was tragically cut short. While en route to a peacekeeping mission in the Congo, his plane mysteriously crashed, leaving no survivors. His efforts to resolve various global crises led him to being the only posthumous recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, for which he was awarded soon after his death. From here, service will take us to Macedonia, and the year is 1910. Mother Teresa, born in Skopje, a city of North Macedonia, is honoured in the Catholic Church as Saint Teresa of Calcutta. By age 12, she was convinced that she should commit herself to religious life. She left home at 18 to join the Sisters of Loreto, Ireland. The following year, 1929, she moved to India. In 1949, Mother Teresa was joined by a group of 12 young women, and she laid the foundation for helping the poorest among the poor. She said, "This is for people who lived like animals, to die like angels, loved and wanted." In 1950, she founded the Missionaries of Charity, choosing a white sari with 2 blue borders as the order's habit, and she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. Today, the Missionaries of Charity is active in 133 countries. Mother Teresa said, "This is what I am, a pencil in God's hands, a fragile pencil with which He writes what He wants. God writes through us. However imperfect we are as instruments, He writes what He wants." We have now reached the contemporary period, and devotion is taking us to Estonia in 1935. Arvo Pärt is a contemporary Estonian composer. His creative output has significantly changed the way we understand the nature of music through his use of holy minimalism, a style which he pioneered. "The complex and many-faceted only confuses me, and I must search for unity," says Pärt. During the Soviet occupation of Estonia, Pärt was unofficially censored and withdrew for several years only to re-emerge with avant-garde techniques while drawing inspiration from Gregorian chants. He went against the norm, adding sacred and religious texts to his enchanting choral pieces. It's said of him, his music fulfills a deep human need that has nothing to do with fashion. From 2011 to 2018, Part was the most performed composer in the world and described as the greatest living composer. As for his cultural identity, Part says, "My Kalava Piog is Jesus Christ. In my dark hours, I have that certain feeling that everything outside this one thing has no meaning." The Seeker of Service is taking us to Latvia, and the year is 1937. Vera Vijk Freiberger was the first female president of the Republic of Latvia from 1999 to 2007. Serving 2 terms, she was instrumental in achieving membership in the European Union and NATO for her country. From 1965 to 1998, Dr. Vera Freiberger pursued a professional career at the Department of Psychology of the French-speaking University of Montreal. As a professor and interdisciplinary scholar, her research included the structural analysis of computer-accessible texts from the oral traditions of Latvian folk songs. Along with semiotics and poetics, she also authored 10 books and 160 articles during this period. 4 biographies in 6 languages, 37 Orders of Merit and 16 honorary doctorates have been awarded to Dr. Freiberger. She received the Knight of Freedom Award for her promotion of democratic values throughout the world, and she remains active in the international arena, continuing to speak in defence of liberty, equality and social justice. We are now going on our final journey. The year is 1950 and service is taking us to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Friar Ivo Markovic is a Croatian Catholic Franciscan from Bosnia. He is a professor of Catholic theology and emerged as a force for reconciliation in the conflict that followed the breakup of Yugoslavia in 1992. Brother Ivo's example demonstrates the power of a single person to counter messages of hatred. Building bridges between opposing groups, Friar Ivo tried to stop the horrors by reaching out across religious and ethnic lines to Catholics, Orthodox Christians and Muslims, emphasizing the commonalities of each one's religious traditions. During the war in Bosnia, he took on different roles, sometimes as a lawyer, sometimes an educator, and often he was simply a force for peace. Today, Brother Ivo is very much involved in repairing interreligious relations in post-conflict societies. He founded the multi-ethnic interreligious choir Potanima, which includes members of various religious traditions and gives a real meaning of unity between the different communities. Our 3 seekers, devotion, service and wisdom, have travelled far and wide. We were also there, and we witnessed them manifesting in these great souls. But now they are uneasy. Yes, they have accomplished incredible things. Wisdom gave us knowledge, service showed us how to bring joy into the world, and devotion gave us the sublime power of prayer. So why are they uneasy? Does the path of each of our 3 seekers lead to a different goal? Or are they like a football team who needs to work together to score? Our 3 seekers always work together, but we only see one of them taking the lead. Wherever we see one, the others are always there, because wisdom is knowing God, service is working for God, and devotion is loving God. Together they become the path of unity, working as head, hand, and heart for all of Europe. The three seekers were uneasy because we are seeing them as separate from each other. It is not possible to have one without the other. They coexist. Just like each one of us is a part of the whole of Europe, each one of us has this path of unity within us. The correct attitude is to see the unity among these three aspects and not to regard them as distinct and different from each other. From the point of view of the body, the path of karma or work was taught. From the point of view of the mind, the path of bhakti or devotion was taught. From the point of view of one's own daily life, the path of wisdom or jnana was taught. It is only from a superficial point of view that these three paths appear different, but from the point of view of the ultimate goal, these three are one and the same.
We hope you enjoyed this spiritual journey all over Europe. It has been a real blessing for us to have the opportunity to bring together the different cultures of Europe in such a way that we could share the spiritual history of our homeland. Feeling Swami's presence in each personality and inspiration we gained from researching and reviewing the lives of these great people cannot be put into words. Even more so, how Swami has shown his influence in all of this, and how easily we can see the timelessness of his teachings. We had the great fortune to personally experience Swami, the greatest example of love, service, and wisdom. In our endless gratitude to him, the three seekers within us are working as hand, head, and heart, and are binding our countries together as unity in diversity. To conclude our presentation, let us now have a look into the present and how we proceed on our path to unity in Europe. We have put together a small collage of activities representing our efforts to incorporate Swami's teachings. Thank you, Swami, for your omnipresence guidance, and thank you all for your attention. Jai Sai Ram.
Poszedłem The Institute of Sathya Sai Education of South Europe is dedicatedly engaged in various educational activities that are ongoing and growing. Since February 2021, the Institute organized its first ever online Course 1 on Sathya Sai Education in Human Values. This ongoing program, presented in English, is being offered to approximately 55 participants from European and other countries. Module 1 and Module 2 of Course 1 took place from February 2021 until June 2022. A YouTube channel has been created to access the recordings of all sessions. The 14 members of its coordinating team derive immense joy working together on this noble task of sharing and spreading Sathya Sai Educare. Module 3 of Course 1 will commence on Saturday, the 1st of October 2022. After a lot of hard work and dedication, the new webpage of the Institute of Education of South Europe was launched on the auspicious day of the 24th of April 2021, declared by the SSSIO as World Human Values Day. The structure, design, and texts have been drawn up in a simple and elucidating manner, making the rich material of the website accessible to all. Education in Human Values, A Path for Life, is a training program for public school teachers organized and delivered by the Italian branch of the SSSIO and under the auspices of the Italian Ministry of Education. The first module, entitled PACE, an acronym standing for Thoughts in Harmony, Behavior in Balance, was conducted online for 24 teachers from October 2021 to June 2022. At the end of Module 1, a certificate was issued to each participant by the Ministry of Education in Italy. The training course will continue this school year with the second and third modules, dedicated to ethics and good communication and unity in diversity. Another ongoing project is the Peace Friends initiative, launched this year on the 21st of May. Peace Friends is a virtual peace walk to raise awareness about the need to promote peace in our homes, at school, at the workplace, and in all countries and everywhere in the world. Participants of all ages are invited to prepare a peace friend character that will walk for peace on their behalf, representing the human value most meaningful for them. At present, there are over 108 peace friends who are now joyfully parading on our website and in tune with our Peace Friends motto, "Peace is an art we can create together if we are friends in our heart."
Let us now travel to Brazil, where we are going to visit the Sathya Sai School of Ribeirão Preto. As you can see here on the map, we are visiting the state of Sao Paulo on the eastern side of Brazil. And there, when we want to go to Ribeirão Preto, we have to move 340 kilometers northwards from Sao Paulo. Here, in the outskirts of Ribeirão Preto, we find the Sathya Sai School located. As you can see, the compound has quite a lot of different buildings located and embedded in nature. These are the school children, and you might see that they are quite happy to be able to visit this beautiful school. Two ideas came up: to build a solar energy system which allowed them savings of 9,300 euros per year, or to produce their own food in a greenhouse with the possibilities to save 8,500 euros per year. The investment costs to build up solar energy were about 29,000 euro, but it offered the opportunity of 9,300 euros per year of savings, and this for 25 years. That was the moment where the Sai Foundation stepped in. In a pilot project, we gave 1/3 of the investment as a donation, leading to more sustainability and more financial independence, whereas 2/3 of the investment were given as an interest-free loan to be paid back within about 10 years out of the savings of the project. Here you can see the ready installed solar system on the roof of one of the bigger buildings. The advantages of this project: more sustainability and more financial independence for the school. And for the Sai Foundation, the advantage is that they can use the money 3 times instead of once, and therefore it multiplies the impact of its work. For the future, we hope that much more Sathya Sai schools will use this opportunity. And we thank Swami for his guidance and his inspiration to carry out his plans and to let us be the instruments in his hands. This was just a very short journey through the multitude of activities in our zones 6 and 7. And this brings us to the end of our program. Once again, we want to thank you for watching us. We want to thank the leadership and all the members of the Sathya Sai International Organization. And of course, we want to thank Swami for his love, his inspiration, and his guidance. Only with him and only through him, all this was possible. Jai Sai Ram.